Video game movies, apparently they don't have a break. As you can tell, I just came back from Rampage. And it was a day that I was kind of dreading. I saw the trailer months ago and I was really had lost faith that it was going to be a good movie. I still had to watch it because I had to see if it is possible to sink a video game movie even lower. Even though this year I also went to see Tomb Raider. I didn't post a video out of it because there were things that I couldn't talk about it on camera. Maybe I got stuck or I was busy and other stuff. But I'll give you the rundown saying that I thought that the Tomb Raider movie was decent, but it lacked some elements that could make this movie enjoyable. And I mean elements that are based on the video game. So I felt that it could have needed more. But Rampage, on the other hand, that one made me sad. Sad that I feel alone. I am probably one of the few guys in the world that hated this movie. I'm sorry. I fucking hated Rampage. And I'm not talking, by the way, I'm talking about the Uwe Boll film that came out many years. I'm actually talking about the recent Dwayne Johnson film that appeared. Don't get me wrong on one thing. I don't hate Dwayne Johnson. He can be entertaining. He is an entertaining actor, but let's face it, the guy can't act. He can't act as much as he just can't emote. Because, I don't know, there's something that stoic on his face or his muscles that probably... Have you ever... there's some kind of chemistry that kind of says that if there's a pretty woman, there are usually horrible actresses. Usually that happens to models, that fashion women who are models normally tend to be horrible actresses. Probably with men, the more muscular or they are, the worse they are in acting. Unless you are, but of course he got this role because he was a wrestler and all this stuff. Well, technically they're actors, but not very good actors. So in a way, Dwayne Johnson is kind of like this generation's Schwarzenegger. He can be entertaining, but in a way I kind of wish that someone fired his agent because, my god, in the roles that he picked. And he's being one of the most overpaid actors there is. How is it possible that there are better actors in the world and the one that is not so much of a good actor is in there? Maybe I know why, because technically Dwayne Johnson, it is this generation's Jesus of Hollywood. And I say that not being because I'm mean-spirited. I'm saying that because I think there was a quote on the Bible that apparently Jesus said, "Let the children get near to me." And that's what I get from Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson apparently attracts children because of his charisma. That this is what I see when I go to see most of those Dwayne Johnson films. The last two films of Dwayne Johnson that I have seen, it mostly attracted younger audiences. And 10-year-old no less. Which is ironic because most of his movies doesn't feel like they could be PG in a way. Especially considering that the last movie that he was, which was Jumanji, is a disgrace of humanity that many people love to eat. So yes, for all the YouTubers, last year I made a video on Facebook after I saw Jumanji, and I was so pissed that I hated this movie. And I can't believe that people just still eat that shit up. And it's because they love to eat what Dwayne Johnson or that asshole Jack Black do. Okay, but enough about my rant. You might probably know that why I hate Rampage. Well, I'll tell you this. Rampage became one of the worst movies I have seen because it is a movie that, even though it embraces stupidity, is aware about it, it felt insulting. It felt it doesn't set its emotions right. It tried sometimes to take it seriously, but it didn't earn that, and it gives out probably what I could say that is one of the worst endings I have seen, and I'll get to that. And it makes me sad that it almost had it. It almost had it for me that it was enjoyable, stupid but enjoyable at least. But no, it didn't get that, at least for me. Okay, if many people love the stupidity of this film and they enjoy it, okay, fine. I've seen worse. But if you can handle my rant, please hear me out. Here is why I couldn't take this movie. Let's start off by saying that this is supposed to be a video game film. The game Rampage, I know it. I played on the NES a few times, and that's pretty much it. But still, since I like to be curious about video games and all this stuff, I did have the privilege to know at least the basics out of it. And I kind of think that it could have been great as at least as a Saturday morning cartoon, or at least a funny movie. For those who doesn't know, the basic premise of Rampage is just that three monsters, they just go around towns and they just destroy buildings and eat people. And that's it. That's it. There's nothing to it. And I was open-minded for a Rampage movie, at least. And by the way, if you're curious, the three monsters are technically based on the real monster from Hollywood that they made. Well, Hollywood and all the monsters from movie world. I mean, there is George, who is the giant ape, parody of King Kong. There's Lizzie, the female lizard, a parody of Godzilla, and Ralph, the giant wolf. I think he's the parody of the Wolfman, but I don't remember the Wolfman growing like 500 meters tall. But still, there, you have the tools. So let's make it. But apparently they just decided that they needed a fourth monster. And the fourth monster is Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson in this movie, he is a primatologist. For me, that's kind of strike one. No matter how much what roles you give Dwayne Johnson, I will never, ever buy Dwayne Johnson as some kind of an intelligent career like a scientist or in this case a primatologist. No, you can't do it. I just can't. It is as believable as seeing an Arnold Schwarzenegger as a doctor, like in that movie Junior. I mean, I know that we shouldn't judge the book by its cover, but still, a cover, it helps out first impressions. No, I can't. And the way he's dressed and the way he acts, he acts like he didn't get out from that Jumanji movie. Fuck that movie. So, yeah, we start off with him and his group of clean people, even with a woman who doesn't dress up professionally for this kind of job. He's technically a park ranger in this park, and he takes care of not only primates but his favorite ape, which is this white hair monkey. White hair gorilla. which is none other than the video game character George. First of all, George wasn't a white hair ape. They just did it only for relevance. And yeah, they have a chemistry, let's say, in which Dwayne Johnson and George, they communicate each other with sign language, and they are kind of like the best of friends in the world. They fist bump, they play jokes, and even George somehow managed to give out the middle finger. Yeah, he literally flips the bird on this movie. And while I'm not the kind of guy who likes to censor, I'm kind of really curious to see what are the reaction of parents when they bring out to see that their 10-year-old Dwayne Johnson fan to this movie, and they show them, hey, there's Dwayne Johnson. Oh, look at this ape, he's giving the finger. I would love to see the reaction of parents to that. But anyway, what happens is that during one night after an explosion on outer space, 3 canisters that they were carrying some kind of virus or virus sample or something like that, it lands on 2 in North America and 1 in Mexico, I think of, and George, wolf, and a crocodile, they get exposed to it, and what happened is that the next day we see that in the natural reserve, Dwayne Johnson finds that George apparently killed off a bear, which begs the question: how the hell did that bear where the bear came from? Because it was a natural reserve. It's not like I know that they're probably not caged, but it didn't show how big that thing is. I mean, that natural reserve, it kind of looked like a jungle. But anyway, George is beginning to show aggressive behavior, and as well that he is growing taller. And yeah, then the military comes. They want to technically they are searching for the creatures that were infected by those samples. The thing is that the military and all this stuff, they are sent by this company. I think it was called Energize. I don't remember, but it was kind of like Energize or something like that, which that's a fallacy on the video game, because I think I remember that the evil company on the video game is called Scum Labs. But the point is that it is run by what was the actor's name? Malin Ackerman and Jake Lacy, who these kind of act like the odd couple, like the no-nonsense, brilliant, but very evil, cold, calculating scientist, and the wormy guy, who apparently he's kind of like the face of the media, but he doesn't know how to properly do science stuff. Yeah, and you see his office filled with a lot of nerdy stuff. He has a pet rat, and astonishingly enough, he also has the arcade, the Rampage arcade game hanging over there. And many people still complain about that Double Dragon arcade game in the Double Dragon movie. So these two, they're kind of planning that they just want the animals, or because they were supposed to have those samples in order to create bioweapons of mass destruction for profit. Ooh, I'm not gonna go, especially where the political situation that we're facing off. But yeah, then after that there's also this scientist played by Naomi Harris, who she was kind of like the founder of those samples, that she intentionally wanted to use it to save her brother from an illness, but unfortunately that the evil company, they stole her information and they fire her, and yeah, she joins Dwayne Johnson to find a way to rescue Dwayne Johnson's lover. And by the way, I was a little bit sarcastic on saying that George is George and Dwayne Johnson are lovers, but apparently the movie kind of act like that. I mean, because probably they could have a good chemistry between Dwayne Johnson and the ape compared to other characters, but the way they act, they really felt like apparently Dwayne Johnson just want to hug and kiss that ape. So yeah, yeah, shenanigan happens. The military group tries to capture the wolf, in which apparently they just name drop, saying that, oh, the internet community, they just begin to call it Ralph. Why? Doesn't explain. And of course, Dwayne Johnson and Naomi Harris, they are captured by the military, and they're joined by a third party, who is this sleazy cowboy FBI agent played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And this guy almost made it into the movie, but I cannot help to say that this guy was sleazy. In a way, I was sleazy. I love cowboys, but it took me a while to notice that he was a cowboy. Unless right on the get-go, you notice that he had a belt and a cowboy's handgun. It took me a while, and this guy almost having a little bit of a love-hate relationship, because while he was technically probably the best part of the movie, there are things that I kind of hated about him, and I don't even know why. Maybe I wasn't taking the movie too seriously at this moment, but still, I was kind of dreading it. Dreading the stupidity of the film, that it feels incoherent on the things that it wants to be. Oh, and by the way, the crocodile, Lizzie, is never named and almost never appear up until the third act of the movie. So because I couldn't buy any of the bullshit that is happening, I couldn't even buy some of the stories that it wanted to shoehorn in. I mean, apparently the movie tried to put that Dwayne Johnson character is a guy who doesn't get along with humans, and he prefers the company of animals. But it doesn't show that. It doesn't feel like he's that. Maybe because Dwayne Johnson is a total wooden actor, that he can't find an emotion out of it, except when it needs to sometimes. But maybe, of course, that the movie didn't give us that kind of proof. Proof that he is a guy who doesn't trust humans and all this, and he just prefers to trust on animals. And you know what? This one is a little bit hard to tell, and I wish they could have push it up. I mean, I have a relative who he prefers the company of animals more than humans. But he also get along with the humans and all this stuff. But if they wanted to exaggerate Dwayne Johnson in that, it didn't come off well executed. I mean, after this scene where they survive a plane crash, I mean, Dwayne Johnson, Naomi Harris, and well as Jeffrey Dean Morgan, they survive this plane crash. Apparently, Dwayne Johnson begins to say that the reason he hates humans mostly is because he found George becoming an orphan due to orphans. And by the way, remember that I said that Dwayne Johnson, I couldn't buy him as some kind of scientific role? Well, the reason he's kind of like this park ranger primatologist is because he was in the army. He was in the army, and yeah, he talked about war and all this stuff. I didn't like the atrocities of humanity. You know what? I bet there's a good movie hidden on there, and there's a good theme out of it. And yeah, And yeah, then Naomi Harris, she just say that she also gives her exposition about her brother and all this stuff. And they go to the FBI, the other military force, who they're tracking both the George, and Ralph, the wolf. And then the brilliant idea of the Energized CEO. They're not twins, but I'm gonna call them twins because they're almost always together in the movie. These two brothers, they had the brilliant idea that they're gonna attract the monsters into their building, which is located in the middle of Chicago. So, and I think they used the Sears Tower for the building. But the thing is that they have this huge noise frequency antenna in order to turn it on and then lure the monsters to get there, because they're gonna destroy the object. And yeah, we hear the beeping of that machine, and we don't hear it. We don't hear that noise only when it's convenient. Maybe I can forgive that, because wouldn't it be annoying if there's this incestuous noise all bleeding into your ears? But yeah, finally the three monsters, they make Rampage in the middle of Chicago. And yeah, Lizzie, which is this, instead of a lizard, is a crocodile. And it's not named also. I think I mentioned that. But finally appearing, and they break havoc into the whole city of Chicago. And you know what? That was the point where I was almost forgiving this movie, because we had to endure all that bullshit to finally get what we were wanting, what the series, the video game, was about. Monsters destroying the city. And I was enjoying it, at least. That, I will give it credit. I was beginning to enjoy that part, because that was the point of the movie. Even though they kind of betray the characters, in which the George is white hair when he was supposed to be normal hair. The wolf have a little bit of DNA of a porcupine and a bat, and the crocodile Lizzie is not a lizard. It's a crocodile that is a giant crocodile with, I think it had gills or something like that. It kind of reminds me of that crocodilian dinosaur that ate that woman in Jurassic World. That's what I kind of remind me of. But anyway, it becomes glorious at that moment. They even go to that tower and they begin to destroy everything, and that's what I was expecting. But there was one thing that it was missing. The aspect that they were supposed to be eating people. And yeah, it happened. They only eat one person. And it was the most hateable of all the characters, which is one of the villains. I'm not gonna whatever. It was the woman. The woman she gets eaten. And it was during the whole climax in which Dwayne Johnson and the scientist. Dwayne Johnson, okay, Naomi Harris, the name escapes me. This is why I got on my IMDb page there. They go to the lab because apparently they got the samples in order for her to create a cure for apparently the three animals. And by the way, this cure never happens. Never happens in that movie. They just go there because the plot said so. So technically, I don't know if I will call it a red herring, but mostly that cure is a total chestnut gun or a MacGuffin. Because even at the end of the movie, it never get used. They get it and it's never mentioned again. But the point is that they confront those evil villains, and while the creatures are destroying the whole building and the whole machine, and George managed to grab that woman, and you'll get one of the most graphic human eatery you could ever see on a movie. It's more graphic than seeing King Kong eating a human being or Godzilla eating someone human, but that moment was glorious. Oh, and the wormy guy, he apparently got killed by the powerful psychic powers of Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Because apparently Jeffrey Dean Morgan had the powers of super hindsight man, in which he just stalled the guy to telling him, hey, could you give me the laptop? Yeah. And he just see on the outside of the building that is collapsing. He sees the debris and he's like, oh, wait a minute. Give me the pet rat. Sure. Yeah. Okay, you can go. Take it. Here you go. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. A psychic. And after all that thing, now how do Dwayne Johnson and Naomi Harris they're gonna escape from being on the top of the building who is on the verge of collapsing? Well, they're gonna use the cartoon action movie physics of the year. They get in a tailless helicopter, and while the building collapses diagonally, they turn the helicopter. They turn on the helicopter, and they just begin to revolve like. And when everything is done, they land flat on the ground with no injuries. This death-defying stunt will make even Indiana Jones baffle. I mean, I know that many people are. I bet many people will come up with ideas of that infamous Indiana Jones movie on the Temple of Doom, where Indiana Jones fall from what was it, 80 stories high from the sky, and he survived without breaking his bones by using an inflatable raft. This is kind of that territory. I mean, think about it. They were on a building that was collapsing. That building was like 100 floors high. And they managed to use that helicopter. Barely they have bruises. You only see scratches or something like that, but no bruises or anything. So, the movie's over? Of course not! They still have to deal with the monsters. Because apparently, Dwayne Johnson, because he just wanted to save his brother, or lover, whatever you want to call him, he wants to save him. Even though during the whole time, I know that he's just trying to be noble, and he knows that probably the monster didn't mean it. But come on, let's face it, he still caused damage and destruction, and probably God knows how many people it killed off. And they only managed to secure one cure. And again, it never gets used to. It's never used. So apparently Rampage then decides to turn into Pacific Rim, because this time the monsters, they decided to battle. And I don't mean 3 monsters, no. I mean 4 monsters. I'm sorry, I'm gonna count Dwayne Johnson as the 4th monster. You know what? This is a great idea. Make it it's some video game developer, hear me out. Make a Rampage remake video game. And yeah, have Raph, Lizzie, and George into the mix. But also have a 4th character. And that 4th monster is Dwayne Johnson. Because that's how I felt. I felt like it was, that Dwayne Johnson was like the 4th monster. And yeah, then Lizzie kills off Ralph by decapitating. I was disappointed. yeah, then he comes again with the battle, with that battle that George almost gets killed because he gets impaled by a long iron rod. But then, what happens is what plummet me into why I hate this movie. I could have forgiven everything if it wasn't for the ending. The ending for me it was insulting for me. I hated that thing, and I'll tell you why. What happened is that after Lizzie is killed, the George almost was on the verge of death. He was kind of like dying, and yeah, everything kind of plays out like they're sad and everything. Even though I kind of don't buy so much the weird relationship about this. But yeah, it felt like it wanted to earn an emotional response. And when George dies, even Naomi Harris is like don't be sad. Don't be sad. And Dwayne Johnson's like, but he saved me. And Naomi Harris is like, he saved us all. But myself is like, no, she didn't. No, she didn't. No matter how much you want to butter things up, he still caused destruction, and I don't know how many people he just squashed. I wouldn't say that he saved it. He just kind of had this change of heart, and it still destroyed the city. And by the way, what happens later is that George, it was like, psych! I didn't die. He gives the middle finger again, the giant middle finger. And yeah, they began to have this awkward pattern of conversation that they always do on those Dwayne Johnson films. And yeah, remember that I said that families are now gonna have to try to explain the younger audiences about the middle finger and all this stuff? I would love to see parents try to explain children that they saw in a Dwayne Johnson film, George making the finger and the circle thing. You know, like, I don't feel like I want to do it on camera before I get flagged, but you got the idea. He does that, and again, I'm not against. It's not that I'm against it, because I am totally against censorship in many ways. But I would love to see people explaining that, especially since I know that there are children that are gonna watch Dwayne Johnson. But yeah, the movie ends. We see apparently George in the background helping apparently an elderly man get down from a building, like he was the freaking BFG. I don't know how the hell people begin to trust that monkey in seconds. But the movie just ends, and the biggest reaction that I want to have is that I have a giant middle finger as big as that George, because my God, I was so pissed at this ending that it went on convenience. I know that the movie didn't try to make it seriously. I can handle stupid movies, but at least stupid movies also have to have some basis to be aware that they can do a good movie. I mean, I do like stupid movies sometimes. I mean, I watched This Is the End. Mortal Kombat, the first movie, I can take it. I also have a soft spot for Street Fighter, the movie. The one with Van Damme, just in case. But I couldn't handle this movie. It was beyond. I couldn't take it. So, is it me? Maybe it's me. Or maybe people are trying to forgive Dwayne Johnson. I'm sorry, Dwayne. I don't wanna I know you could be a good person. I know you can be good. I enjoy you. Please, forgive me. You're not like that asshole, Jack Black. Or maybe it's not you, it's the director. The director didn't understand Rampage in some ways. He had it. He had it on the third act. But maybe it's the ending. And the ending really, really pissed me off on how convenient it wanted to create a happy ending, and how convenient they felt like they just wanted to side with the ape. And probably this is also one of my biggest problems with the movie, is that for a movie about three giant monsters, how easily they side with the ape just because the ape is well the closest to human behavior. But I also hate how hypocritical the movie is by having Dwayne Johnson felt like he is some kind of animal lover, but felt almost no pity on either the wolf or the crocodile. I mean, they're still animals. And I'm not saying that an animal lover technically has to love everything. Because I'm an animal lover. I love animals. I'm very fond of cats. But I'm not too fond of dogs. If you ask me, what is the animal I absolutely despise? Are snakes. I have a big phobia to snakes. If they could have, I wish they could have built better on that stigma of Dwayne Johnson. And because he says he's an animal lover, but he doesn't interact with other animals except for George, his lover. I couldn't take it seriously. It had it, but it didn't. I apologize again. Maybe that wasn't my movie. Rampage, I hated it. I hated this movie. If you like it, good for you. At least this movie doesn't have Jack Black. But now that I think of it, this is not gonna be the only movie in which I'm gonna see Dwayne Johnson on a role that I cannot believe, and that I have to wait for that other movie that is gonna come out. You know what? That's it. I suggest you to play the game. Play the video game. If you watch the movie, go ahead, but I mostly highly recommend you to just play the game. Or for better or for worse, just watch only the part where the real Rampage happens. Because that's the only part of the movie that I legitimately enjoy. But the rest,